Sure. Good evening, everyone. So it's nice to see you all on a Saturday, on a rainy Saturday as well. So myself, Karthik, Toastmaster Karthik, I'm the president of RR Donnelly Toastmasters Club, and I am privileged to host this session as the MC for this event. Today we have a very two good speakers to speak about evaluation and acing the humorous speech as well on both ways. Before we start the session about the two, we will see about our role players. So I'm going to take a route to explain how I know these people. The first role player of today is Toastmaster Jagadishwaran. So Jagadish is a person who I met on my area contest last year in my office. So he was a very silent person, but I was shocked to hear he was a martial artist. He has so much of love for a passion of public speaking and is using each and every stage he gets to reach that level. So Toastmaster Jagadish will be the timer for this event. The next passionate Toastmaster who I'm going to introduce is Toastmaster Adira. The same day, the same area contest which happened in RR Donnelly last year for the humorous contest and evaluation contest, I met Adira. She was working behind the screens in terms of taking care of all the medals, of all the certificates, and of all the trophies. She was running here and there, and on the entire event, she was the person who would have easily crossed 30 to 40,000 steps. She was going here and there and making ensure everything was done. So about her, she is the current Vice President of Education of Dynamic Leaders Forum, Toastmasters Club, and is working in HCL Technology. She loves to read novels, watch cartoons, and gather facts more. Now, this is the introduction about our role players. Now, let's start our first session, and let me introduce the first speaker for today. It's none other than Saai Rahavendar. How do I know this person? This time when I went to the officers training program, he was my trainer. On the entire training event of 30 minutes, close to 30 minutes, he didn't even use any presentation, but he engaged us a lot. To say about him, I asked him a question. How would you introduce yourself if you are a 15-year-old? So he said me the same. A 15-year-old won't know what the 32-year-old will achieve, but he knows that I would be an upcoming leader in tech industry. I would be coming out of my comfort zone. I would have achieved some accomplishments, and I would have loved to help others achieve something. Wow. So now let's come on a time machine, time travel to a 32-year-old, and we see what he's doing now. He is currently a senior consultant and a manager in Deloitte, US, India. He has learned himself to push him away from his comfort zone in public speaking by joining Toastmasters, and he has spent over a decade. He has won several contests in Toastmasters, including being the podium finisher in district evaluation contest finals at Discover 2024. He has mentored over than 20 people Toastmasters in mastering and winning several contests. Today is going to give a speech about evaluation, and his topic is Dial E for evaluation. Let's get to that directly. Toastmaster Saai Rahavendar, this is your stage.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Karthik. A quick check if I'm audible and visible.
Yes, you are.
Okay, perfect. Once again, a very warm good evening to all the Toastmasters who have joined us virtually. I really hope that we could have done it in person, but we all sit in different places, so that's why we wanted to join virtually and give this accomplishment. I know a lot is being said about my introduction. I mean, I was glad to have Karthik as one of my attendee who when I hosted the president training, but I wanted to start with a question. Like he said, I'm not a big uh, I'm not too good in bringing up presentations. I want to do it a bit engaging with all the audience present here. So a quick question, probably you can unmute yourself. What do you what do you think about you being a contestant in evaluation? Do you think it is easy? Do you think it is difficult? Or do you think I have no idea at all? Can I have any options? Maybe you can use the chat window. I actively see the chat. Or you can even unmute and say your
Feels it's
comments.
hard.
It is hard. Okay, Jagan feels it is hard. Anyone else? Or you can even raise your hands if you want.
It's
Many,
something
yeah,
like thrilling for me.
thrilling. Okay,
Yeah.
I couldn't
Satya.
note. Satya,
Satya.
okay,
Yeah.
nice Satya, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, lot of times when I go for evaluation, educational session, one common thing people come and ask me is, "Am I really an evaluator?" For all those people, before even I start giving you tips for evaluation contest, first thing I want to let you know is we are all evaluators. If you don't believe myself, just ask yourself if you really like the movie which you did not like, or which why you liked the movie which you liked. We basically watch a lot of movies, right? So every time you watch a movie, you go with no expectations. You don't know what the director is going to do, what the cast is going to do, but you're there on the stage evaluating the movie as a fan, and you're understanding and evaluating if the movie had pleasant memories or it had bad memories. That's the same thing that you're going to do. So I'm not going to give you skills which you are going to cultivate from the beginning. It is all the skills we already possess. So I'm just going to tell that these are the skills that we're going to reuse in an evaluation contest. Okay, so quickly, like I said, dial E for evaluation. I'm going to start with certain tips which helps you. But this, I'm going to structure it in a way where it starts right from even before you start contesting. And then what happens when you are sitting with your pen and paper on hand, listening to the speaker. And after that, what happens? To all the participants, if there is anyone who's contesting for the very first time in evaluation, I'll just give a short tip of how an evaluation contest in Toastmasters happens. In a Toastmasters contest, you will have a target speaker, a speaker who's going to deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech. Remember, this speech has no objectives. Like how we have pathways and members come and present their speeches on pathways, you do not have anything of that sort. Any speaker can come onto the stage and can deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech on any topic. And there'll be set of contestants listening to the speaker. And once the speaker completes, all the contestants gets 5 minutes time to prepare their evaluation. You will be given a note, a paper, a blank paper, which will be given by sergeant at arms at the start of the contest, and you'll be given a pen, and you have to start writing and preparing for the 5 minutes. Once the 5 minute completes, the sergeant at arms immediately removes the paper and pen from your hand, and then you will be called upon based on your lots. This is how a typical evaluation contest in Toastmasters happen. So now let's start with few tips. The first tip which I'm going to say is not what happens during the day of contest. It is what you can do even before you enter the day of contest. The before preparation. There is a word called listen, and there is a word called observe. Do you think listen and observe are the same? Any thoughts on that? I wanted to just ask the audience because I felt these two are very similar, but they have their own distinguishing factors. Okay, Vidya Sekhar says no. Who else says no? And anyone can unmute yourself and then ask, what is the key difference that you find between listening and observing?
Can I
Observing.
ask?
Yes,
I'm Toastmaster Shanti.
yes, Toastmaster Shanti.
Uh, Observing, it means what are the key away we taken from that message, that speech.
Okay, okay, fantastic. You're taking the message out of the speech and not just listening. Superb.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
someone else was trying to say,
Yeah, listening is for the ears and
right?
observing is for the eyes.
Wow, fantastic. Nicely summed up. I think Vidya Shekhar also has mentioned similar thing. Listening means words and observation means action. As an evaluator, try to inculcate the habit of observing and not listening. Because when you are sitting on as an evaluator, right, the first thing we do is we just listen to the speech. You just have your notes, you start writing, you forget to observe what they are trying to do, right? So what I mean by observe is listen and see what the speaker is doing. Both has to be in sync, right? So imagine if superstar Rajinikanth comes up with a punch dialogue. Now, ஒரு தடவை சொன்னா நூறு தடவை சொன்ன மாதிரி, you're just only listening it. You don't feel that excitement, right? The punch comes because of the words as well as the way it was delivered by superstar Rajinikanth. Both has to be in sync to work out, and that's what you are going to do. So for this, a simple tip for you to prepare even before is try to have your ears sharp and your eyes constantly looking. And when you're writing, ensure that you're writing only the hints. So the first rule for evaluation, even before you sit on an evaluation contest on your contest day, is learn the art of observing and not just listening. That's the first tip I wanted to start with. Now with that tip, you had the initial preparation, the basic skills is already done. Now on the day when the target speaker is being called, the speaker has already started speaking. Now what should you do as an evaluator? You have the pen, paper in hand, you're observing the speech. And as you're observing the speech, what all you have to do? First important thing, when the speaker starts speaking, remember as an evaluator, your major role is not evaluating the speaker. You're evaluating the speech of the speaker. Why do I say this is, just imagine if on a particular day of your contest, I come as the target speaker, you would have an impression that, oh, this guy has already given an educational session, so he must be an excellent speaker. That bias should be avoided. Why? Because, say for example, take director Mani Ratnam. Everyone loves Mani Ratnam's movies, right? We love movies of Mani Ratnam. There are certain movies which did not work out also. Is this the problem of director? No, but it is the problem of the script. Same way, any good speaker cannot be at their best on that particular day. So don't evaluate the speaker with the credentials that you know of them. Evaluate based on the speech that they present on that particular day. This will avoid the biasness that you have on the speaker. So this is the initial thing that I want you to start having it in mind when you are on that day for evaluation contest. And once you know this, I'm going to only evaluate the speech. Now, how am I going to look at the speech? What all things am I going to approach at observing things from a target speaker's speech? For that, a simple tip. As an evaluator, your role is to make the target speaker improve. Right, so he or she is already having a certain level of achievement in public speaking. You are here to appreciate the efforts that they've given and also improve them in their further speeches. For that, you need to evaluate them on two parameters. First is on the content, second is on the delivery. What I mean by content is basically the script that is being used by the speaker to deliver a content or a message to the audience. But delivery is how they deliver this script into an effective way to the audience. So now I'll again ask question to you. I told about content, I told about delivery. Now I want the audience to tell me, in content, what all things you can notice and what all things you can observe. And the same way, what is in delivery? I'll start with content first. If for newbies who are here for the very first time, if you don't know how you should evaluate a speech, think of a movie. When you go into a movie, from a content is nothing but the script, and delivery is nothing but acting. So now understand and tell me what in content you wanted to observe, if it is going well or it needs an improvement. Can I have any suggestions, maybe in the chat window, or maybe you can unmute yourself and then yeah.
Key
Hi,
message.
good evening.
Yes.
Hi, good evening. This is Venkat Lakshmi.
Hello, Venkat Lakshmi.
As far as the content is concerned, what I believe is the articulation of the content is very important.
Okay, articulation is important. Wonderful. What else? Someone else was trying to.
What is the key message? What is the takeaway for me? from that speech.
Right. What is the takeaway? Because a speaker is speaking for 5 to 7 minutes. What is the takeaway? I devoted 5 to 7 minutes for your speech. What do I take away from that? Right. So that is interesting. Wonderful. Chitra in the chat says the structure is what they want. I mean, they will look for from a content perspective, the introduction, body, and conclusion. Toastmaster Adi, the Zoom master says the flow of the speech, right? How it flows from the start to the end. Is it going smoothly, or is there any interruptions in between? Wonderful. Any one more point, and I'll cover what all we can look for. Okay, Satya. Yes, someone was already saying.
There could be some lag in the content, or sort of interesting, or that matches the title of the speech also.
Great. Sometimes when we listen to speeches, right, you will feel bored. Sometimes it doesn't resonate with us, correct? So at that point in time, we easily detach. So when we detach, it's our role again to listen to 5 to 7 minutes, because that's the role an evaluator does, right? So however it is, you have to listen. Thank you so much for pointing that out. And I see 4 more comments coming in the comment section. Logic, yes. Is it really logical enough? Because if it's like, the Telugu movie where you throw the baby and it directly goes to Mars and come back, people eventually know this is funny, but it may not resonate with them, right? So logic plays a role, and the relatability, the connectivity that you have with the audience plays it, the engagement with the audience, how attractively you're able to present the content to all of them. And speech should be relatable. I think that's the same thing we've been hearing. Now, I'm just going to reuse all these things. Okay, and I'll just give few areas which you can instantly look at from a content perspective when you're evaluating a speech. First is the story. Like someone already pointed out, what is the speaker trying to say? Remember, your view of looking at things and the speaker's view at looking at things are totally different. So try to understand in what perspective the speaker tries to say, and try to travel with him or her in their own world, and that helps you to understand the story. And once you understand the story, you know the entire plot, where it is forming at. So understand what is the story, where it is heading at, and once that is done, go and evaluate how they opened, and how is the structure, the body, and how they concluded. Because once you know the story, you know if all these opening, body, and conclusion are in sync with that story, right? So look at the story, look at the opening, body, and conclusion, if that is syncing up with the story that is being told by the speaker. And then comes the interesting part. You have this opening, body, and conclusions, but what happens if the flow is not proper? That is what we call as transitions. I say, in 10th standard I was doing this, and one day I was in a third year of college, and then the very next day I was at the office doing my presentation in front of the manager. Now, as an audience, when they're listening, they don't know how is one event leading to the other, and that's why the transitions and the flow becomes important. So identify if those flow is flowing smoothly and carefully. That is something that you can note for the transitions. And one thing which seldom we don't appreciate is people coming up with good choice of words. Because when you're listening to a speech, remember, it's a story of a speaker, and what adds value to that is the choice of words that they use. Sometimes they use similes, sometimes they use quotes, sometimes they use brilliant words to describe, to be very descriptive. That adds visualization power to us. So notice the choice of words, if that is adding value or not. That is another thing. And of course, the relatability factor we've all spoken about. I can't come and say I'm going to give a speech about E equal to MC squared, because only Christopher Nolan fans may like it. But apart from that, a lot of other people will feel I'm detached totally. So try to see if that story of the speaker is relatable to majority of the audience or not. You can observe that. And finally, see if they're able to present their idea with an example, preferably a personal story. Why is that very important? Again, this tags to relatability, because when you are listening to the speaker, it is very evident that you have to travel to their own world. How you're able to travel and understand their ideology is through examples. And when those examples are presented, especially from their own life, you know there is a testimony for it, and you are compelled to listen to the speaker even more. So that is also another thing. Just to sum up on the content part, understand what story is being told, and with that story, see if the introduction, body, and conclusion are in sync up. See if the transitions are flowing properly, have they used good choice of words? Are they relatable to the audience? And through relatability, are they giving good examples to all of us, preferably a personal one? So these are the basic things you can easily look for from a content perspective. When are you doing this? When you're listening, when you're observing to the speaker, as and when you're observing, you can note down if this is good or an improvement area. Okay, so this is on content. Now, what do you look at delivery? Again, a question to all the audience here. I have 34 wonderful audience with me. So what is it from delivery perspective? I think delivery should be a bit easy.
The delivery, it should be the proper voice modulation.
Voice modulation, wonderful.
And the body language, the way that he delivers, and
Okay.
also, yeah,
Body language,
the
voice
way that
modulation,
confident, and also the way that he picturizing the content.
picturizing the content. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Facial expression says Toastmaster Satyakila, wonderful. Body language, voice modulation, ability to hold the audience throughout using any method. Okay, wonderful, interesting, Mahesh.
I have a
So,
point.
yes.
The level of confidence.
Brilliant level of confidence. Sometimes, when the speaker is on the stage, you feel as an evaluator that they are so on top of the confidence. Why can't we say that as something really good? Or someone is very nervous, so that confidence is shaken up. That is also something brilliantly told. Thank you so much. And Toastmaster Nimatula says stage usage, the comfort level, says Toastmaster Chitra, wonderful. I'm just going to sum all of this together. Simple things, which I think predominantly we covered majority of it. First thing is the body language. How are they using the body language? So when someone is trying to convey certain things, I am looking up to my father. So when you see they're looking up, so the body language looks up, that adds value, right? So how are they body? Are they having their gestures struck towards their chest, or they are having free hand movements? So that comes under your hand gestures, your body language, your hand gestures, your voice modulation. Why is voice modulation important? Just imagine if the target speaker comes and says, I met with an accident, and he tells it with a smile. Do you really think you'll be able to resonate the pain behind being met with an accident? No. That is where the voice modulation plays a part, right? So voice modulation is something which you can notice if it is very monotonous or plain, or it adds a lot of ups and downs, and that helps the audience to travel along with the story. You can notice that. Two other things which I generally look for in speeches, I wanted to share it with all of you. One is the emotions that they give. I know voice modulation is one, but the emotions also play its part. When you are sad, it's not only the voice that is going to show. Your facial expressions, your body language, everything put together shows that emotion. Try to emote to the audience, not narrate. When I say I am very confident, I achieved something, you can just say yes. That shows the emotion, that the excitement that you have. That emotions is something that you can notice. See which part they have emoted really well and it connected with you. So that is something which I wanted to add up. And another thing, there are certain speakers who use properties. See if those properties can be used for your commendation or recommendation. Why? Because properties helps you visualize, but also properties help you to distract also. Usage of properties is something, how I see usage of properties is, it should help the audience to easily visualize things. If a property is not being handled properly, if the weightage to the property is not being given, then the usage for that property becomes unnecessary. So as an evaluator, it is again your duty to point out if that property has added value. We can point it out that it is good. If it has not added value, you can say, why do we need this? Even without this property, I'm still able to follow the story. So is that property really needed? So that is another thing that I usually try to see when I evaluate a speaker. So that is something I wanted to say. Again, from delivery perspective, I'm just summing up. Look for body language, voice modulation, the stage usage, your hand gestures, the emotions that they display, and finally, look if any properties are being used and if they're used wisely. So now, as an evaluator, you're having your notes. You have written, okay, this is my uh, pros that I have for the content and delivery, and these are the cons. Now, you're done with your speech. You have 5 minutes to prepare. You listen to the speech. You have 5 minutes to prepare. Now, what should I do? Simple thing. First, remember this. Thank you so much, Timer. Remember this. as an evaluator, you're also a speaker. So you should also adhere to proper speaking adherence, which means you should also have a proper introduction. You should have your body, which talks about what you felt about the speech, and you should have a summary at the end because you're also a speaker. So with that, now comes 5 minutes you're going to talk. You have preparation time, and then 2 to 3 minutes you have to deliver your evaluation. How many commendations or recommendations should I come with? Because you have only 2 to 3 minutes. Sometimes when you listen to the speech, you have very small commendations, plenty of recommendations. How should I pick those recommendations? Which one should I pick up? Or I have plenty of commendations, only less recommendations. How am I going to pick? How many numbers am I going to pick? A simple tip to the audience: when you're presenting an evaluation, have this number in mind. You have to present your commendations and your recommendations both to the speaker. Have minimum of 2 and maximum of 3 for both. I leave the choice to the audience. Are you going to go with 2 plus 2 or 2 plus 3 or 3 plus 2 or 3 plus 3? How you can basically decide this is based on your pace. I am someone who can talk faster, at the same time be very understandable. Remember, it is very important for the audience to understand, especially the target speaker. So ensure that your pace plays a key role. If you are someone who talks little slowly, patiently, then 2 plus 2 may work out. Or if you are someone who can go at little bit fast pace, but at the same time not compromise on the understandability, you can try 3 plus 2 or 3 plus 3. But now the minimum that you have to do is 2 and maximum is 3 for both. Once you identify how many points you're going to say, now comes the biggest challenging part. What point should I present? What point should I include? And for that, I'll give you 2 tips. First thing, try to be unique. Try to pick up points which are very unique that you feel majority of people may not say. It may be something which you uniquely noticed, or even if it is not uniquely presented, you can tell in a different way. For example, if you wanted to say your eye contact was not good, instead of telling you can maintain eye contact directly with me, there's another way of saying, I was actually following your story, but at the moment you shifted your eye contact to somewhere else, I distracted. I was not able to follow. This is another way of saying, say, pick up unique way to present your evaluation points that helps the audience and the target speaker. That's one point. Second thing, try to pick up points which the target speaker can instantly use to improve his or her speech in the future. I can directly go and say your subject is very dry. There is no humor in it. Adding humor is not the very next, you don't cultivate that immediately, right? It takes a bit of time, correct? So try to pick up your commendations and recommendations such a way that they use this for their immediate speeches. That is another way you can choose which number can fall into the 2 or 3. Okay. And with that, now you have your content ready, which is your commendations and your recommendations. Now comes your introduction, your in between transition, and your conclusion. How do I introduce? How do I conclude? Now, simple tip for that: start your introduction. Some people use quotes, but when you're using quotes, remember to use it which is very relevant to the speech. You can't just bring in a quote which is not at all relevant to the speakers. It feels very odd. So try to come up with a quote which is really matching well. If you're not able to find it, at least start with how you felt about the speech. If someone talks about their sports day event, I can come and say, for a moment I thought I was there in the audience cheering you up on a sports day event, because that is how I personally loved your story. This becomes a strong opening. Why? Because you're relating to the speaker how you felt, and then you start telling how you excelled in some things and how you can improve on other things. So this introduction plays a very key role. And once you're coming into your commendations, and when you're jumping into recommendations, see if you can have a transition there. Why is the transition very important? Because you're appreciating the speaker, and instantly you're going to say these are areas you need to improve. So a bridge in between that plays a vital role. How you can easily say, some people have templates. The easiest way to say is, I know you excel at certain things, but there are still scope that you can explore, and I'm pretty sure that you are here to listen to the improvement areas to become a better speaker. This is a simple way which you can adopt, but that transition plays a key role because the target speaker understands, now I'm done with accepting the appreciations. Now I need to look for the future improvement areas. So that transition plays a key part. And finally, your summary. Remember, for an thank you, timer. I'll wrap up in 2 minutes. Uh, Remember, for evaluation contest, summary plays a very key role. It has points in the ballot as well. Why is summary necessary? Because you've told so many points, and there are so many evaluation contestants who's delivering the points. Which one I excelled, which one I need to improve, that summary plays a key role. So summarize that, and as you summarize, leave with a punch. Why is that punch very required? Because when you leave with a punch, the speaker instantly feels gratified listening to you. At the same time, for the voting judges, they feel you left on a high. How you can bring this punch out is try to identify places where you can use certain elements from the speaker's speech. For example, if the speaker is speaking about their sports day event, you can say, I know you excelled in sports day, but not only in sports day, if you can improve on these recommended areas, you will excel even in public speaking. So that that touch that you give as a punch will help the target speaker. It also helps you getting that winning edge. Okay, so that is all I had. Thank you so much for being lovely audience. With that said, don't worry. I know I spoke about a lot of points. I have all these points documented. I will be posting it in the chat. Uh, if we have time, I'll take one or two questions. If not, in the interest of time, I will hand it over. Timer, do we have 1 or 2 minutes for any questions, or is it are we breaching time for? I mean, for is it time
Yes.
to breach?
Yes,
I guess
yes,
it's fine.
Sai.
We have time. We have time. We have around
Perfect.
3 minutes.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you so much. So any questions? I know I spoke a lot. I love to talk, so I'm not going to talk now. I'm going to observe what questions you are going to present. So any questions on evaluations that you have in mind?
We have
Except,
opened the portal for questions. Yes, please
yeah,
pitch in with your questions.
yeah. Except for the question when I leave the stage, that is a different thing. I'll be leaving in next 3 minutes, as the timer said.
I have a question, Sai.
Yes.
Okay, my question is, see, if we get a veteran speaker, okay, who's very good and he haven't done any mistakes, or I couldn't find any recommendations at all. Okay, in that case, how to manage that situation? Even though he would have made some that even though there are some flaws, but I couldn't identify it, so I don't know what recommendation should I give. So in that case, how can I manage that situation?
Wonderful question, Toastmaster Satya. This is something which I keep asking for a really long time. I don't know if I excelled it, but I'll tell how I see it. Certain areas, when you note, because when you have an extraordinary speaker, you have so many commendations. At that point in time, when you can't find a recommendation, see if these commendations have been consistently followed through. If you say humor is maintained good, see if that humor has continued well, if it has traveled well. If it is not, then you can say your humor was good at the start, but later it became little dry. This is an area where you can focus. If suppose you struggle, that's how I do. If they have consistently done the commendations, then good. If not, see where they can improve and you can quote it down. I think that helps, Toastmaster Satya. Thank you so much for the lovely question.
Yes. So in that case, I cannot mention that humor is good as a commendation.
Yes,
I
correct,
have to use it
exactly.
only in the recommendation, right?
Exactly. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Toastmaster
Yeah.
Satya. And again, since she quoted, I'll just quote a small thing. Ensure that when you're giving your recommendation, you don't contradict each other, because you're saying something is good. You can't say something else is not. You have to improve also. That contradicts, and the speaker doesn't know, should I improve or should I stay? Thank you so much, Satya. Any other questions?
I have a question. Yeah, I have a question. You
Yes.
said the introduction part we can start with a code, right? Now, for example, I've still not evaluated even once. I'm going to do it for the first time. So
Wonderful.
it's like the very first time when we do it, obviously I'll be a little bit nervous,
Yes.
and maybe I'll be missing out on points. At that point of time, do you think I will have that mindset to think about a code and to connect with the speech at that point of time? Or else, is there any other way we can start this?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Venkat Lakshmi. I have been a speaker first time myself. First of all, kudos to you on being a participant in evaluation contest this time. Hoping to see you reach great heights. To answer your question, uh, I know there'll be nervousness. Not only you, trust me, when I step onto the stage as a contestant, I will also have the same level of nervousness. Okay, so when you're on the stage, when you're nervous, remember your brain doesn't think well. So what you can ideally do is see how you can better open. The best way, like I said, see how you can, I mean, talk about how you feel about the speech. You listen to the entire story, so you know what the story is all about. If it is even relatable to you, bring in your personal instance. For example, if the speech is about say a one day trip with my family, you can say it reminded me of a trip which I had with my own family. Or if you have not done, I have not even had a trip with my family for the last 3-4 years. Your speech made me realize now I wanted to badly text my mother and say let's plan a trip, but the sergeant at arms doesn't give me phone yet. So this is a better way for you to start to tell how you feel. And what happens is the moment you tell how you feel very confident because you are able to relate to the speaker. So I think that's a better way to address it. I mean, I hope I answered your question, Toastmaster Venkat Lakshmi.
Yes, that was perfect. That was a nice way. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you. I'll take one more question. I have one question in the chat from Toastmaster Chitra. Can we use the quote which the speaker has used in his or her speech? Anything that you bring from a speaker's speech will definitely give you a winning edge. There is no doubt about that. But remember, when you're using it, it has to make sense also. I remember listening to certain evaluators where a speech was about LOL, right? So it was about laugh out loud, but they had a different acronym to it. So the evaluator came and presented, I have an LOL style. I have an LOL style for recommendation and commendation. But that LOL was, I mean, it did not feel like it naturally flowed through. So when you're using things from the speaker, it gives you big winning edge, but that has to flow naturally and it has to make sense. As long as the quote is able to give you that additional value, it is brilliant. There was one speech where they said, um, I listened to a speaker who said, zeros are zeros until they become heroes. I mean, this was a quote. I don't remember the exact quote. Zeros are zeros until it becomes hero. So I use this quote. Where I used it is, I know zeros are heroes, but if you follow these recommendations, even you will be a hero. So I use that sentence over there. So as long as you're able to make essence out of it, absolutely you can definitely use, and that definitely gives you a winning edge. Okay, with that said, I know we also have another wonderful speaker. I'm eagerly looking forward to look at what she has for the tips for a humorous contest. With that said, thank you so much for being a lovely and engaging audience to me. Thank you so much, and hoping to see you all contest and win the contest. Over to the MC for the day.
Thank you, DTM Saai Rahavendar. You hold the forte for more than 20 minutes. It was sure. Thank you to all. Our people would have been happy to listen to the speech today.